Well, good evening. So I wanted to, I guess I just have a little message, and maybe it's not even a message, maybe it's just a rambling thought that I have. I was sitting here kind of winding down for my evening, and I came across a video by one of my favorite social media personalities, Dr. Tony Yon, who was kind of going over like botched surgeries, and he was telling people how to prevent it. And I love him because even though he's a plastic surgeon, he always talks about the importance of self-love, and he says that plastic surgery is a tool, not a solution, and that before you pursue plastic surgery, you should really be focused on strengthening yourself and addressing whatever might be insecurities you have that makes you think you need this surgery. And so I really am a huge fan of his. And so I was watching these videos, and they are difficult to watch. I am a clinical social worker, and I really, anytime I'm watching something, my question is always, how is this connected to wellness? And what can I do as a provider if my clients are feeling a certain way where they would be willing to risk their health, their safety, and their life to engage in whatever the behavior might be? And so as I was watching the videos, like your first gut reaction, at least mine, was, wow, why would they do this? And then I had to stop and say, no, I do understand why they're doing this. We live in a world where we are criticized and ridiculed and judged and torn apart for every aspect of who we are. Even if you are a beautiful person, if people tell you that, there's someone who is waiting to tell you, well, you're not as cute as you think you are, or it is not what you think it is. And it can be overwhelming to try to navigate all of that energy and all those comments. I mean, we are human beings, and we are seekers of community and belonging, and we AKA, we need validation and acceptance. And that's not a weakness. That's one of the beautiful things about humanity, is that desire for belonging and connection is what enables love and joy and compassion and all the beautiful things that can come from that. And so when I think about it that way, then it helps me to support people differently. You know, it isn't easy to live in this world. I was talking to my little sister about this today. There are so many people out here who are so insecure and overwhelmed with who they are. You know, they go through the world and they're pissed off, and they engage in negative behaviors, and they have terrible attitudes, and we can dismiss them because we're like, wow, that's not a pleasant person to deal with. But underneath all of that, really, is pain, is hurt, is trauma. So there are a lot of people out here who are really just, they're engaging in comparative practices where they're not even angry with you, they're angry at themselves. Like, we have this thing in Black culture, which I'm just so sick of. You know, people hating on me, people hating on me. First of all, nobody's that important. Nobody's hating on you. I think now people say that because they think it gives them status. I got haters. You don't. Really, people don't care much about what's going on with you. If someone is jealous of you, if somebody is envious of you, it really isn't you that they care about. What they care about is what you're reflecting back in them. You know, a lot of people are looking at you and are saying things like, well, why them? Why were they able to get through this and I wasn't? It isn't about you. So if you're a person running through life like, I got haters, people who are jealous of me, people are not. What's really happening is an internal thing where they don't understand why they're not good enough, why they haven't been able to navigate this life in the way that other people who come from the exact same environment have been able to navigate. And what's worse is that those individuals are rarely extended compassion because their presentation is difficult to deal with and engage with. So I think about, like, in trauma work, when we really talk about how trauma lives in the body, one of the things that we acknowledge is that angry people live in angry bodies. And what that means for me is they're living in a body that produces anxiety, that is producing jitteriness, that is overwhelming, it's hostile, it's hyper vigilant, it's on edge. And so they're engaging based on all those emotions that are happening in their bodies. And we don't understand that because we're just like, I was just ordering a coffee. Like, why am I getting all this angst? And they can't really tell you why you're getting all this angst because they don't really understand it. They are living in it. And it's hard to see a thing that you're living in. One of my favorite sociologists, his last name is Cole, Coel. He says, people fail to understand the culture in which they live in because they live within it. When you live within a thing, you're not looking at it. You're just existing in it. So you don't even recognize how you might be creating all of this negative interactions and this negative energy around you that then is attracting more negativity. I was talking to one of my clients about his social media, and he said, there's so much negative stuff and it makes me think things. And I said, well, there's an algorithm. If you spend 10 seconds looking at something, then social media is going to send you more videos and ads related to that because the algorithm is set up to constantly feed you the things that you spend the most time on. So if you're spending the majority of your time looking at things that are negative, that are violent, that are ugly, then that's what's going to consistently pop up in your feed, and you'll never get away from it, and you will think that the world is all negative. So what you have to do, like if you have this internal issue of you're not good enough, you're insecure, unfollow every single account that makes you feel like crap. Unfollow every single account that makes you feel like you're not worthy. Unfollow every single account that makes you feel like you're not good enough. And then once you have done that, then start following accounts that are lifting to you, following accounts that inspire you, following accounts of people who you have a shared, maybe even aligned value system with. And when I explained this to him, he was like, I never thought about that. He literally just thought that what he was seeing was all there was to see. And I think that is just how we exist in this world in general. We only know what we know. And if we surround ourselves with people who only know the same things we know, who only understand the world in the way that we understand it, then we never can move beyond our insecurities, our self-doubt, or that thing in the back of our brain, that little voice that tells us, you can't do it. I can tell you my life has not been easy. Most people, when they look at me, they misjudge me. They think that I came from money and then that my family was super educated. No, I make a point of telling every single person I come in contact with, particularly when I'm training or when I'm working with clients or when somebody wants me to mentor them. There is no difference between you and I. There is no difference. I come from a broken home. I was in foster care. I was adopted. I grew up extremely poor in inner city Detroit. I have experienced every type of trauma you can experience. Every type of self-doubt you can have, I have had. The only difference between me and a lot of people is I just chose to believe that nobody else needed to see value in me for me to have value. And I began that step. And so my message tonight, I know it's long and I apologize for it to be, it's like almost 10 minutes, but my message to you is this. You are enough. You are worthy. Being enough and being worthy because you exist does not mean you don't have things you need to work on. Yeah, if you have a crappy attitude and you're out here taking that out on other people because you've been through things, you need to go get therapy, work on yourself. If you believe that money is the most important thing and you're willing to hurt people to get it, you got things you need to work on. But you as a human being, on face, because you exist, you are worthy, you are valuable, you are enough. And as you begin your self-care, self-love practice, I hope I hope you begin to look at the things that are strength based for you. And instead of engaging in comparative politics that will only leave you feeling less than and encourages you to engage in behaviors that could be risky, that could be unsafe, and could lead to premature death. So, hopefully, this helps somebody. I know for me, this is a struggle that I have consistently because I'm often in spaces where I'm one of one, and it's not. I don't have a roadmap for what I'm doing. I'm just doing things and learning as I go. My mantra that I encourage everyone to develop a mantra, which we will talk about in weekly lifts come September, is I don't have to be perfect. I just need to be present. I don't have to be perfect. I just need to be present. So I hope that you understand you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present in your life. You have to be present and intentional in your decision making. You have to be present and intentional in how you love. And you have to be present and intentional with how you love yourself. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care.